Hello, this is Danielle Yawowiecka with the BBC News. Ukraine says the United Nations and the Red Cross must be allowed to investigate the deaths of more than 50 Ukrainian prisoners of war in an explosion or fire in a detention centre in the Russian-occupied part of Donetsk region. The Russians say Kyiv destroyed the centre in a rocket strike. But Ukraine's former head of national security, Oleksandr Danylyuk, says this was a deliberate attack by Russia on prisoners from the Ukrainian Azov battalion.
This camp held the prisoners of war, defenders of Mariupol. Their bravery for defending Mariupol became the symbol of heroism and bravery, self-sacrifice, not only in Ukraine, but also internationally. And Russia was looking for ways to destroy this image and break these prisoners psychologically and demoralize Ukrainian society and the army.
The US and Russian foreign ministers have spoken for the first time since Moscow invaded Ukraine. The Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the telephone conversation had been frank and direct, and that he told Sergei Lavrov the world would never accept the annexation of Ukrainian territory. Mr. Lavrov said the Kremlin would achieve all the goals of what it calls its special military operation. Colombia's president-elect Gustavo Petro has said that he intends to relaunch peace talks with the country's only active rebel group after he takes office on August the 7th. Mr. Petro will become Colombia's first left-wing president. Leonardo Rocha reports.
9 days before his inauguration, Mr. Petro has reaffirmed his determination to resume peace talks with the National Liberation Army, or ELN. Negotiations between the Colombian government and the ELN began in Ecuador in 2017 and were later transferred to Cuba, with the Norwegian government as facilitators. The process was abruptly suspended by President Ivan Duque after the rebels launched a deadly attack against a police academy in Bogotá. Mr. Petro says he expects Cuba to continue hosting the talks.
The new US envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer, has arrived in Ethiopia in an effort to advance peace efforts between the government and Tigrayan rebels. An official in Addis Ababa has said the government is ready to negotiate without preconditions. Will Ross reports.
There are still hurdles in the way, but there are also signs that peace talks in Ethiopia are a possibility. The leader of the Tigray People's Liberation Front this week said he wanted basic services restored first. Debretsion Gebremichael wants the government to switch the electricity and telecommunication links back on in Tigray and to allow the banks to work once again. There are also territorial disputes to resolve, but at least the two sides are talking about peace rather than war.
You're listening to the World News from the BBC. A court in the United States has sentenced a Saudi-born Canadian citizen to life in prison for providing material support to the Islamic State group. The US Justice Department said Mohammed Khalifa, who was also a fighter for IS, was personally involved in the killing of 2 Syrian soldiers. Turkey has been warned not to lay claim to islands in the Aegean Sea belonging to Greece. The two countries have a long dispute over their airspace and maritime border, one made more serious by the discovery of nearby gas reserves. On her visit to the Greek capital, Athens, Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock urged the two NATO members to resolve the matter through talks.
The Greek islands of Lesbos, Chios, Rhodes and many others are Greek territories, and nobody has the right to question them. We need unity, we need dialogue, and in these difficult times, we need to act as a government.
She later flew to Ankara, where Turkey's foreign minister said Germany should listen to both sides without prejudice. A South African court has given a life sentence to a man who arranged for his pregnant girlfriend to be murdered. The prosecutor said Ntuthuko Shuba-Fearing was worried that his wife, who had just come into an inheritance, would find out about his affair. 28-year-old Sihufatso Pule was found hanging from a tree and with a bullet in her chest in June 2020. A watch which once belonged to Adolf Hitler has been sold at auction for more than $1 million. Thought to be a present given to the Nazi leader in 1993, the item has a swastika on its case, along with the initials AH. It was taken by a French soldier who helped storm Hitler's mountain residence, the Berghof, and passed down through his family. Some Jewish leaders had called on the sale to be cancelled. Those are the latest stories from BBC World News.